Hello, hi everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's really good. So first of all, I just want to say I'm really excited to be here with all of you, and obviously with Turn have this great opportunity to be able to talk to you guys. And I think a lot of you kind of like have an idea of, already what feedback, why feedback is important. And I think Fred was saying a lot of you might probably have to teach us something as well, because it seems as if you guys know a lot, and which is really good and really helpful. And today what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to use Google Forms. And we're also going to learn how to make your survey itself. There's no point just creating a survey for the sake of it. There is a way and a structure that is very important to create a survey so you can get your ultimate goal, which is quality feedback, not just feedback for the sake of it. And we're also going to learn how to then analyze the results. So now that we've received this quality feedback, how do we analyze it? How does it make sense to us? How do we use it in our business? And so these are the key things that we're going to learn today. And before I go in detail, I think it's also good that I introduce myself. And I know it says on there, welcome, I'm back. And in case you haven't seen me before, I'm not, this might be the first time, so I'm not back. But I've been grateful, and deeply honored to be able to have joined this TERNSkills course. So we've been doing it for some few weeks. And so some of you might have already heard my introduction. So apologies if I'm going to do it again for those people who haven't heard my introduction before. So my name is Bejo Seholo. I'm actually a refugee entrepreneur in the UK. And I've actually, a year ago, I was on the same journey that you were on in the ICE Academy program. And so it's really gives me a great honor to then be able to join Turn and work on this TERNSkills program in which they're able to offer a lot of good information on entrepreneurs and how they can digitalize aspects of their business and make their business more sustainable. Now, just to give you a brief idea on my startup is called Instant Pickup. And what we actually do, we're on a mission to solve the problem of air pollution, which in the logistics industry, by developing the first platform where you can find eco-friendly, environmentally friendly vans for your same-day logistics needs. And so this is my passion, and this is what I'm currently working on. And so it's an honor to be here with all of you today, and thanks for the opportunity. So just to work on our goals for today, and I think I've alluded to some of them in the first slide, is we're going to learn how to use Google Forms, right? And then we're going to learn how to test the surveys. And we're then going to learn how to then analyze the results itself and how we can turn that result that we receive into useful information that we then use in our business. Now, so in terms of the Google Forms, our agenda for today, we're going to spend 5 minutes on just this brief introduction of me that I just did just now, talking about myself, and just because we recognize how important your time is. So it's important that we give you the agenda so you have an idea. And we're going to spend 40 minutes in terms of the Google Forms creation demo, in which we're going to show you how to create Google Forms. And we're also going to spend, 20 minutes of that time in the breakout itself, in which we're going to break out and you are going to actually create these forms. You are going to actually learn how to use Google Forms to be able to create useful surveys for your business. And I think a lot of you are going to be part of the ICE Academy program, in which you're going to have to use some of these survey forms as well. And I think there's a demo day coming quite shortly, and so it'll be very useful for those of you that are taking part in the program to be able to use the information and knowledge you get from here today on that process. And then we're going to have a 5 minutes break. Break is always very important for us to kind of like collect and just kind of like, sit back and just go through some of the things that we've learned today. And we're going to do 25 minutes on the QR code demo. I don't know if any of you have used QR codes before, but some of you might have. It's a very interesting, and what I think with obviously with COVID, a lot of people might have learned, seen the different QR codes in different restaurants, different places you go. you're going to learn how to create your own QR code for your own survey so that you can easily share it to people, and people can then be able to give you feedback, and they don't have to see you in person or when you get to the demo event. So you're going to have a QR code, people are going to just use their camera, and then they'll be able to give you surveys, and they'll be able to give you feedback on your product. And so we're going to spend half of that time showing you how to create the QR code, and also the other time on the breakout itself, in which you would then create it. And then we're going to do a demo on the form results. So just looking at some of the results and analyzing the results, and also spend 5 minutes on top tips and previews. And so that's what we're going to cover today. And I think I'm going to start with just showing you in terms of the Google Forms demo next. And just give me 1 second. Now, may I offer you some feedback? This is done by Fred. It's a really good GIF, and it's just basically trying to ask you guys why is it important to have feedback, and why is it that it's also very important. I think some of you have kind of like shared some key ideas on why it's important. But it's essential to have feedback if you want to basically improve your product. Because a lot of times you might have an idea of what is it that your product is, or what you expect your product to do. But the most important person in your business is your customer. And so it's important that you're able to collect feedback from them to be able to understand how are they finding your product, what do they think about your brand. And basically it will help you later on your business journey as well, as you start to improve your product as well. And I think in turn, we also use a lot of feedback forms as well to kind of like improve some of the various processes, I think, throughout the ICE Academy programs, whenever you talk to your turn coach. And I think this is something that helps the program itself just keeps getting better and better. And so it's very important to always, whenever you design a product, to always have some sort of feedback. Because I think, and also have surveys to be able to be able to get information from your customers. Now, what are the various great ways of getting feedback, and in terms of like digitalization, is for us to use something called Google Forms. And I know some of you might have used this before. And Google Forms is something that basically allows you to create a survey, but then it also allows you to be able to share it digitally to anyone in the world. So you don't necessarily, somebody doesn't necessarily have to meet you, or you don't necessarily have to talk to the person, which is obviously to ask them the key questions. They can be anywhere, and then you can then be able to create a link that you can then use to then share with them. And so I'm going to show you some surveys, a demo of a survey that we've already created before, using Google Forms. And in doing this, we're probably going to use, in creating this survey, I've used a lot of the various tools using Google Drive to be able to store a lot of the images that I used in the Google Forms. And I've also used Google Doc to kind of like write out the questions that I'm going to actually ask in the surveys. And I think an important thing that is good to highlight is also, before you create a survey, it's actually very important that you recognize what is your goal. What are you trying to achieve from this survey before you actually then go in to actually create the survey itself? I think it's important that I point that out, and be able to understand, am I trying to get the customer's name and email so that I can be able to then talk to them later? Or is it that I'm trying to get the survey to get feedback on the product, or if this product tastes nice, or does this product needs to be improved? Or am I trying to get a feedback on trying to understand the packaging? And so I think it's very important that you understand your goal before you actually draft out different questions and for your survey. So I would show you, I'm going to show you a quick demo of some of the surveys that I've created. And I'll also talk more about, before creating the surveys, how I was able to choose the question that I chose for the survey. So I would share. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, Peter.
Okay. So this is a survey that I created for a company that makes honey, and it's called a Taste of Honey questionnaire. And I'll show you how I was able to create these surveys, and also the various type of questions, various type of answers that are here. So you see, for some of the surveys, you're going to see some of them require short answers, whereas for some of them, they actually have multiple choice answers in which you're able to then check and provide two answers to a question. For some of them, they require just a single answer. And some of them have also incorporated images. And this was trying to understand the flavor. And I'm going to show you how to do that when you're creating your survey. And this is a drop down. And so these are the various type of ways of asking questions using the Google Forms format. And so I'm going to actually show you how to actually do that from scratch. And it's also important to also know that there's actually two sides to the Google Forms when you create it. So this this link is a link that has been shared. And so whenever I share this link to someone, they're able to see this. But as a creator, I have a different view. The view I have is this. And in this view, I'm able to then see my responses, see the questions. I'm able to then edit. If I don't like the pictures, I'm able to then edit it. And so I'll show you how to create this whole form that we have here from scratch. And we'll just go through the process together. So just give me 1 sec. Let me go to Google Forms. So the first step is obviously to go to Google Forms, and you should have a Gmail account. And from there, you start with a blank form. A blank form, which is basically you're going to click, and the blank form itself is not necessarily going to have any titles. So for us, what I created just now, the title is right here, which is called A Taste of Honey questionnaire. And so you decide the title based on your business. So whatever you want, based on the business you have, that will then govern the type of title that you would choose for your questionnaire. So you have to tailor the title to the business that you have, and obviously the audience, the people that are actually going to answer the questionnaire. So I just pasted that in there. So I'm going to recreate everything from scratch. And so once you have the title in there, what you want to have as well is also an image for the banner. So if you see on here, I've added an image which basically grabs people's attention when they go to the survey. Kind of like makes it look much more interesting than just having a questionnaire without any image. I think images do that. And so in order to add that image, there is something on here called the customize theme that you can then use. And what you would do, you would choose the image. And so I've created a folder already with the images all within this folder here. And so when I click on it, so this is the banner image that I'm going to add. And so once you then select the image you want to add, you then do open, and then it loads it on top, and then it loads it on Google, and then I say done. And then just like that, it is there. So right now you can see the image is there, but I don't like the look of it. It's a bit too one-sided. It doesn't look more like that. So you can do setting things to the images if you wanted to change the image. If you wanted to edit the image and you're not happy with the image that you have, you can upload another image if you want to. I think I have to move this image slightly. Right. Apologies, just have a lot of Zoom, a lot of things from Zoom banners just at the bottom of the screen that I'm having to just move out of the way. I'm having to navigate and move out of the way. Sorry about that. So with this, can you guys see my screen clearly? Just to double check, because I can see the Zoom banners, and I guess you guys can't see that. Can you guys see my screen well?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So you can use this to adjust the size. Most times the image do show. I've tried multiple times, but the image doesn't show. But you can use this to adjust whatever side of the banner you would like. So I could adjust this slightly. Do done. And yeah, and so the banner is there. And then the first question, I have to decide what type of answers do I want. Do I want a short answer or do I want a paragraph? A paragraph is I want a long-winded answer. For the first questions, it's the question we've asked is, what is your name? So understanding that's going to be actually a very short, you want a short answer for that. You don't want a whole paragraph for that. And so you would then create, and I'm using copying and pasting at the moment because I've already chosen the questions before. And I think it would kind of like help in terms of accelerating the process. But for you, you can obviously type out the questions and select the type of answers that you want. And you can select if you want a paragraph, it's going to be a long answer. But I think having a short answer for this, I think would be good. And another key thing that I think is important to recognize is you want to also be able to specify, is this answer required? Going back to what I said about understanding what is your goal. Is your goal to get the customer's name? Then make sure that you always ask the customer, I require your name if you fill out the survey, because that will give me good information. Your goal could be, I want to get the email. Then you can make that aspect of it, you can make that aspect of it also required with a short answer as well. So this is the first question we ask is, what is your name? So that we know the person who's given us the feedback. And then we'll ask another short question, which is, what would you change in our product? And so for this can, in my opinion, can be a short answer or a long answer. In order to then create the first, so we've created the first question. To create the next question, we will use this add button here, which says add question. And so when you use that, it then comes up with the question. I then paste it there, and then it says, what would you change in our product? Now, I could leave this as a paragraph, as a long question, because someone could say, I want to change quite a few things. And so I can give them that option. And I can also decide to make it must be required that you answer this, or else you can move forward. But if you think it's not something that is required, you don't necessarily have to make it required when you're creating your survey. And so it all comes back to that thing I said in the beginning, understanding what is your goal, what are you trying to achieve? And then the next question, which I'll show you how I created this question here, is what is your email? And I think email, people are very sensitive about their email. And I think it's also always good to kind of like give a reason why you're asking for the email, because a lot of people have a lot of spam messages and they might be quite sensitive about that. And so it's very good that you're mindful about that when you're creating that. And also, so I put that question in there, and then I'll put that in brackets actually. The brackets kind of like explaining why are we asking for your emails. So if you're creating a question, it might be good to explain to them why is it that you need their email, because some people are a bit hesitant in regards to giving that. And for that answer, an email should be a short answer as well. And then, so because it's a short answer, it will just basically give me this. And then I can then add another question. Now, what is the other question? And then add another question. Now, the question we want to change, the next question is going to be another short answer is, what do you like the most about honey? And this can be a question that you can ask as well. Your customers is trying to understand what do they like the most about your product. You've already asked them what would they change. Now you want to find out what is it that makes them come back for more. What do they like specifically about your product? And so for that question, I believe that as well is going to be, can be a paragraph, because there might be a lot of things they actually like about your product. Your product might be wonderful and they want to list out everything. I would put a paragraph. And then we'll add another question. And I think this is going to be our first multiple choice question, which is we want, the goal here is, the reason why we've asked multiple choice, because we want to know more than one answer, which is how often do you buy a jar of honey? And obviously for this type of question, sometimes, depending on people's mood, they could buy weekly, Sometimes they could buy monthly, sometimes they can alternate it. And so it's good to give the multiple choice so that you can have a much more deeper understanding of the customer, because not every time an answer has to be a single type of answer, which is yes or no. Sometimes it could be, let me get a few different answers from yourself. And so this is why I think it's important to use multiple choice questions. And so for the multiple choice, questions, we just select, so we used checkbox. Checkbox is what we used for that one. And so for that one, you have option 1, which will add the option, which is weekly, monthly, 3 months, and never. So we'll say, you can type it weekly, and then press enter. And once you press enter, we just go down to the next one, monthly, and press enter again, 3 months, you said 3 months, and never. And so that's it. That's all it takes. So for each of them, I just press enter, and that took me to the next stage. And then we then add another question. I think the other question we're going to add is actually a yes or no question. So we want a single answer. We don't want too many multiple questions. Do you use honey for medicinal purpose? And for that, we use what's called multiple choice. Rather than checkbox. And so for that question, we will have that, and we'll stick to multiple choice. And it already gives you this option suggestions here that you can use. You can basically say, I want to use the yes option. I want to use the no option. And you might want to use maybe as well. And then automatically you don't have to type it. So there's a lot of suggestions based on the questions, able to analyze and know what type of answers would you need. And I think this is also helpful in terms of increasing, how long it takes you to basically create this questionnaire. And then I think the next question here is an exciting one, in which we have images, because sometimes I think a lot of people might use flavors that are not necessarily in the UK, or people might not necessarily know the name. And so using images is able to kind of like provide a visual cue for someone if they wanted to understand the question that you're asking. And so the question that they've asked is, what honey flavor interests you the most? And so I'll show you how to create that. We use the add button here, which we've shown before, and then we add the question is what. But on here you can see there's something called add image. So with the add image option, this is where it's very subtle, but once you hover around it, it shows you add image. So if you then click on that, and then you then browse, I've already had the image here. So this is a strawberry. And then it's there. So what did you say? Sorry, strawberry. Now add another option. We add another image. We add another image. Yeah, we go with blackberries. And we'll just add it here. Fine. And then we add another option, and we have the image, the same process again. You can also use different options as well. Coffee is the next flavor that we have. I don't know if anybody has ever tried coffee honey before. I think they're quite nice. It'll keep you awake, as well as obviously taste really nice. So I don't know if you guys have tried them before. They're quite nice. So this would be for the coffee. And we have the last option that we're going to provide, which is going to be here. The same thing with add image. And we'll browse that. And it will be this. This was actually eucalyptus, is actually a very interesting flavor. I've never tried it myself, but it's from the feedback online, it sounds like it's really, really amazing. So this is why it's important to use image, and why we have this example here as well is, if I told you eucalyptus, you wouldn't be able to visualize that. And so having an image helps you kind of like Oh, eucalyptus, it's basically a plant infused kind of like honey. Okay, that then lets you provide some sort of it gives you insight and lets you provide some sort of feedback for a customer, even if you don't necessarily know the product, but when you see the image, it kind of like gives you a clue, as opposed to just using words only. And the next question we're going to ask is we're going to use drop downs. And so these are also good for single answers if you want single answer, but it's just a different, I think it's very important that if you want single answers, you should kind of like change, I think changing the various type of answer style in terms of using multiple choice, in terms of using checkbox, I think it really helps the customer throughout the journey and makes it more interesting than just having one style throughout. And so the next question is, what spreads other than honey do you often use the most? And for this, we use the same add button here, which we've been using. And it just gives us a new place for us to then add the question. And then what spread other than honey do we use the most? And for this, we're going to use the Dropbox. We have down the choice of Marmite. And so you then select on here, drop down. Option 1. I don't even know if I can spell Marmite, but let me double check that real quick and spell that for you. That's 3. That's a very interesting spelling, Fred. Marmite. I'm actually struggling to spell that.
Who doesn't, mate? Who doesn't? And in fact, I don't think the name is necessarily the worst part about it, but then some love it, right? Some people love it.
I know. I'm hoping one day I'll get there. And then Nutella, yes, everybody can spell Nutella. And the next option we're going to do is butter. Some people might like butter as well. And I think for you, when you're choosing the question, it's also important that you make the question relevant to your business. Okay, it's very important that you make the question very relevant to your business, and the options that you're given as well are options that so in terms of the options they're given are options that are actually realistic options, and so this will kind of like help you have a deeper insight into your customer. So we'll then add another question here. So this will then be a different type of answers, which is how would you rate our product in terms of taste from 1 to 5? I would rate it 5. I rate it amazing. So when you have that question, which is I think is a linear question, it then gives you what's called a label. So what is 1? Is 1 awful? Is 1 amazing, as in number 1? Or is 5 better? So it's very important that you use a label. So we say 1 is awful, fortunately, and 5 is, I like to say amazing. So I'll use that, amazing, and then that, and it's important to note that when you're creating the question, it doesn't look the same way when you have the finished questionnaire. So you can see on here, it looks like it's, but when you finish it, it actually then looks like this. So don't worry if as you're creating, it doesn't look the way you want it to look. It actually will change once you actually then share the link, and I'll show you how to do that. I just said it would be important to point that out. And also as well, then we go to the next question, which is going to be a fun question because it's actually a table. So which of these brands appeals to you the most? I think it's the question. So is which of these brands appeals most to you? Appeals to you most. And for that question, we're going to then use what's called the grid, and we're going to use the multiple choice grid. It's different from the multiple checkbox grid. With the multiple checkbox, you're going to have multiple answers, but we're going to have multiple, you can check things twice, and which is very similar to what we have here. So that means you can be able to check things twice. Whereas with the multiple grid with the multiple choice, it's single answers, and I'll show you how to create that. And so when you're creating that, you have what's called the rows. So the rows, when we're talking about that, these are the rows, which are the different brands. These are different honey brands. And then these are the columns, yes or no. It's a yes or no columns. But when you're creating it, it doesn't look like this. So it's very important to point that out. By the time you finish it, it will start looking like this. So the first brand we're going for is YS equal B farm. Sounds interesting. So that's going to be on our row 1. And so that will be YS equal B farm. And then for the next one, we're going to go with Masterco. Masterco is, I don't know if any of you have tried the honey. Sounds interesting. And the next one, we're going to go to Hilltop Honey. I like that name. Hilltop Honey. And the last one, we're going to Odyssey. And apologies for me, I'm also mindful of time, because I know that you're going to also have some few questions, and this, when you have the breakout, you have an opportunity to also ask a lot of questions that you have. And then for the columns, we have a yes, and we have no. And then that's it. And so when we finish, it's going to actually then look like the finished product. Trust me, trust the process, as Fred told me, I think, during the week. And I think another useful thing to actually add in the end is other thoughts and comments, because sometimes you don't know all the questions. I think this is really good, because sometimes you don't know all the questions and you just created some questions. The customer might have a comment, because it's not in your survey, they won't be able to actually say it to you because it's not there. So it's very important, I think, this part, other thoughts and comments, and this, yes, will appropriately be a paragraph. Now, we've created this new survey. So just to show you, just to show, so I'll give you a new name so that you know that it's quite different from the other one. So I'll just call it new honey survey. New honey questionnaire. And so now when I want to share this, so that you can be able to see the so that you can then be able to see the preview, which is what this button is here for. So because it's important that you're able to preview it. You can use this, and what it would do, it would then show you the preview, which is the name. It shows you this is required, and I think everything is now in a grid. And the yes, like we talked about, is no longer like this, which is what we had here. Taste of honey, new honey. So this is.
Because Olo, if I can just come in for a second. So guys, yeah. The other view, that the preview is actually the view of the user, right? Of the tester. So it's always nice to cross-check everything's looking all right, you know. And of course, you should also submit a test answer. Maybe your buddy could also submit a test answer. Maybe your coach could submit a test answer, so that you have all cross-checked it before the event, so to speak, testing the survey before the event. Because actually, I've the original survey, so the first link, the first tab, I've actually just filled all of the answers on my side quickly. Would you mind opening the results page for that one, and the results Google Sheet? I think you have the results Google Sheet already open there, don't you?
Yes.
On the right-hand side. I'm going to press, I just filled the survey in on my side, and I will just submit it. I have all the answers ready, and then have a look at row 5, which is where Bijosolo should see, and you should see in a second, my submission as answers, okay? So I'm just pressing submit on my side, and give it just a few seconds, and there is my answer. That's pretty exciting, isn't it? So you can see that I've just submitted these answers. So, you know, the name's Carlos Santana, as usual, for the testing purposes. You've got now the email, you've got my answer to the different questions, and you can maybe scroll to the right to demonstrate the other answers that I gave. Obviously loving it, gave my contacts and even made other comments. So you guys can see it's all instant. It's all hooked up to the backend, which means the backend of the survey is the management center. Later on, we will demonstrate will demonstrate the results, how to analyze the results, how to find the results, how to create a results sheet like this, but also how to actually view the results inside the Google form interface that you saw earlier. But I just thought it's nice to see that it's worth it, isn't it, Bijosolo?
Yes, yes, which is, I think, is the most important part of the survey, is collecting the results, and having it in one sheet really helps you in terms of seeing everybody's name, everybody's information, and then you're then able to process it. So yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, so I think we've been able to just go through a quick demo of showing you how I was able to create this questionnaire. I think we're going to be having a quick breakout in which we're going to actually create a new form, which is what we just did, and then we're going to create free text questions, which could be obviously the paragraph questions, the long answer or the short answer questions that we talked about. We're going to create 2 multiple choice questions, one text and one image. I think I showed you the image with strawberries and a BlackBerry as well, and also as well, we're going to do the drop-down questionnaire, which we had Marmite on. Can't forget that one. And also, we're going to then publish your form, and then you're going to share with your wonderful Turn facilitator. Now, the facilitators that we'll be working with today, the superstars that we're working with, is Adele, the wonderful Adele, and we're going to also be working with Ellie. And we're going to be working with, you know, the wonderful Fred, one and only, needs no introduction, and my humble self. And we'll be able to just help you. If you have any key questions that you want to ask, there's no such thing as a bad question. Just ask any questions and we'll be able to offer you our help. Is that okay, Fred? Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, please, Pedro Solo. You can stop screen sharing for a second. So guys, you might be thinking, okay, now I'm thinking about the technical part, right? This is a process of learning the skill. You could use the skill, and you should use the skill for the surveys that you're going to have to create for the testing events that are coming up very soon on the 6th and 8th of July, where you will be testing your prototype, right? But you could also use it in other parts of your business, even other parts of your life. So it's a life skill, it's a technical skill. However, you might be thinking, well, what questions am I going to put there today when we are trying to create these 5 things that Bijou Solo just mentioned, you know, when you create your first Google form. Now, you could just use example like Bijou Solo, like a fictional firm, which means one that doesn't really exist. So you could try just an example, you know, it could be a toy store, it could be, you know, internet business, could be a sports company, whatever, you know, or you could use your own already. So the survey that you might create today, the draft, could feature some of the questions you might have worked on with your buddy or on your own this week in the workshops. Or you might already have been thinking more about the other questions you might want to ask at the test. You might not have written them down yet, but you might know them by heart. You know, you can remember them. So in the end, it's up to you how you want to do it in the breakout, whether indeed you want to use, your own exact business idea or an example for now, but eventually you will need your own. So it's up to you. And yeah, aside from that, I think we're ready to go, Adele. Maybe let's do 18 minutes, actually, if you don't mind. Breakout, who's got their form ready, like a first draft? It doesn't have to be finished, right? That's the point, we're learning.
Mine is finished.
Oh, wow. Well, in that case, could you please share the view link with us in the chat box? In fact, Bijou Solo will tell you how to do those kinds of things, but if you're that proud of it, then please share it. We want to see it. Anybody who wants to share the view link, feel free to share it in the chat box. Bijou Solo, back over to you. Still muted, my friend, but I'm sure you'll be bringing your voice back in a second.
If you want me to share it, how to share it?
Yeah, well, you will learn how to do it in a second, so that's the good news. Bijou Solo, you're still muted.
Yeah.
Oh, what is happening with the
yeah, sorry, apologies. Yes, sorry about that. I just having some few technical difficulties trying to get back from the wonderful breakout room that we had and trying to open the main slide again. So yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. I see Yasser has shared it, and that works Oh, yes, this is good progress here. Very nice. And I can see it shaping up very nicely. Very nice. Yes, thanks for sharing. Walid shared it as well. Although Walid, did you share the editing link? Maybe, but I think it's still okay because we didn't request editing access. So there's a difference between a edit link and the view link. We will teach you how to differentiate between the two and how to find the two different links. The view link allows you only to fill the survey. The edit link per se could allow you to edit it, but if you haven't manually added an editor with their email address, even the edit link won't work for them. So, yeah, it's something worth noting. Are you ready to go? Or
yes, and I just wanted to double check, Fred, because we're back from the breakout, and I think the next slide is the slide you mentioned.
Yeah, I guess we could go straight onto slide 14. Yeah, exactly. So I will be happily demonstrating that. I just wanted to show you guys another completed survey. Thanks for pointing that out, Biju. So I will just show and tell as well. Just give me 1 second. Where do I have it? Thought I had it open, but I will open it now. Okay. So guys, some time back, I worked with an entrepreneur called Paul. He had a fashion label and a music label, and he wanted to test his new fashion range. So what I'm going to show you is the survey we created together, just for some more creative tips for how a survey could be created. To be fair, this wasn't created in Google Forms, but you can achieve pretty much the same results. We used another tool called Typeform. So there are other survey tools, like SurveyMonkey and Typeform, but they're not free, unlike Google Forms. So at least their free version is not very good. So what Paul did at the time, he added a video to introduce a survey, which works really well if you have a survey that you want to send people when they're not on site, because who's going to really watch a video when they've just met you at the test, right? But if you wanted to send your survey or a version of your survey to people after the test event, or in any other context, recording a little video, uploading it to YouTube and bringing it into your survey could be a really cool idea.
Hello, people.
I don't know if you can hear this now.
AKA All Aids. I'm here to launch my Fusion brand that goes with my music brand. And I would like you to take 5 minutes of your time and look at this and tell me what or which design pleases you more and what we can do to improve our designs and which you would like to see in the future. So thank you. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we're very happy to have you with us. See you next time.
Nice one, right? He put it on the point. He told us he wants to be in touch with us. He wants our feedback. He will shape his product or service with the feedback. What a man. So he has a little description also explaining what the survey is. I think that's really cool. He said here, welcome to the design survey for ME, a fusion fashion brand that mixes African, Asian, and European colors, patterns, and designs in fashion items for young people in the UK and beyond. ME is a concept brand that links with our music brand. Together, these brands bring cultures together through art and fashion. Nice introduction, relatively short, but clear, stated the purpose, and gave a little insight into the survey. And in terms of the survey, I will just try and show you, he asked for the age of people to understand more, about the customer segments that were represented. He made pictures options an important part of his survey because he felt that was a nice way of engaging people and reminding them of the things they had just seen. He did that for a lot of different things, including sometimes enumerating options on a picture so that people could pick by number, but also by description. You can see red and white, option 1. Number 1 is here, it's red and white, and he's described it here in his multiple choice. Here he talked about the specifics of where people would like to see the logo, how they would like to see the logo, etc. Right? But he also went on to actually bring in a few other options, like saying what kind of design would you like to see. So it's cool when people Bring in pictures. I find it's very engaging, makes it easy for the user to pick. It's not a must, but it's quite useful. And I wanted to show you very quickly then that he also had some interesting results from it. So just like on Google Forms, we just will give you that introduction in just a minute. We had analyzed the results together, and it was cool for him to see how old were the people that tested. You can see the statistics here, right? And that's really useful because that's where you see the patterns. Which was the most popular logo, right? That's when it becomes interesting. When you get many survey submissions from many testers, then you suddenly have a lot of insights on how to make your decisions. So he had double the amount of people say that option 1 was better on this one. So that's 20 people who responded, and then 10 people had picked the other one. So if he wants to go with the power of the crowd, he could make decisions around that. But of course, it's still your business. So you don't always have to do what customers tell you to do, right? Especially if it's conflicting advice. So it could be that different people have different opinions. So remember that it's still your business and you need to make informed decisions that work with your own ideas. But still, it's very valuable to have these insights from customers. So I thought I'd just show you this as another inspiring example. We just hope if you're ready to go, we can keep going.
Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate you guys. And I think what Fred said is true, and it's quite inspiring to actually see that that feedback and how that feedback is then able to give insights, which is the main key thing. And talking about insights and sharing, I think this is what we're going to talk about next. At the tester, basically, we're going to talk about how you can share your questionnaires to people. And so I'm going to show you a quick demo of the various ways that you can actually be able to share it. So in terms of the link, in terms of using the links, as well as using this send option where you can actually send it to people's email. And so I think when we're creating the forms, there was something here called send, and you're going to notice that when you go back to the form that we were working on in the breakout, and if you click on that send, it automatically brings out different options that you can actually use. One of it you can send to an email, so I'll just send to my email, and it's basically brought out my various emails that I have. And so I can send this straight to myself. Another option that we have is, which is just here. So I use the send button and it sent an email to me. And so you can have a list of people who already have your email and you've already told them about the wonderful feedback that you like to get. You can easily just send it to their email. Another option that we have is you can actually create a link. So this is maybe you want to share in a WhatsApp group that you have, or you want to basically give to a friend, or you don't want to use an email. You want to use some sort of social media platform, Instagram, Twitter, whatever way you use to communicate. With the link, it's quite easy. So you have a long link, but you also have an option in which you can then be able to shorten the link. So now it's reduced that long link into a short link. And then you can then copy that link itself. And so now I have the link. You're then able to, with that link, you won't be able to see this version. You'll now be able to see the preview version. So let me paste that link in the chat just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. So now that I have the link for the form, so when I click on it, it then takes me to actually like an actual customer. So now I don't see things like the back end. I don't see things like the responses. I don't see these other things like the send button. So no, I just see only the questionnaire and what is required. So the link is actually very good in terms of sharing on different platforms or communication platform that you currently use. And another key thing that we're going to also show you as well is using the QR codes. And I don't know if you guys have heard of, have used QR codes before, but I think I mentioned this earlier. Obviously with track and trace, I think a lot of people are going used to using different QR codes, but now you're going to be creating your own QR codes that you can obviously just have, and you don't have to even, if someone you don't have to send a link, you just show them the QR code, they use their camera, and they can easily see your questionnaire. So I'm going to show you how to create your own QR code. and we're going to create a quick QR codes for this questionnaire. So we already have the link. So I've opened Survey Monkey, QR Code Monkey. And so this is the URL. I think your facilitator will share this with you in the chat. And it's very, very easy. So all you have to do is in your URL session, you just paste the form link. So the link of this form, I've just pasted here. You don't necessarily, you can try to set colors, but I don't think these are necessary for now. Or you might be able to add logos. So these are options of things that you can do. But I don't think they necessarily change the QR code itself. And so for once you've pasted the content which you've entered here, all you have to then do is just create. And then once you've created the QR code, you then have the option to download the QR code. So you can download it as a picture. And so it's loading. And once you then have that picture, you can actually just show someone the picture, and all they need to do is use your phone, and you'll be able to see. And I think me and Fred tried to do a few tests on this, I think, when we're preparing for this, just to see if we could different ways.
Which is what I can do now quickly is I can use my phone. So guys, I'm going to try and deactivate my background because it's blocking me showing you what I'm doing correctly. Just give me a second. Looks a bit messy back there, but okay. So I have my phone and I'm pointing it with my camera app. You see, this is my camera app, and I'm going to point it at the QR code. I'm seeing it on the screen. And because B2Solo had pressed create, the picture that you see there is actually a unique picture that exists never and anywhere else in the world. This means the QR code is unique, completely unique. The picture is unique, but you have to press create after entering the link. Otherwise, it's just a standard picture, okay? So enter the link, press create, and download it. Now, I'm going to open the form that this way. It shows up as a link. Once the phone has recognized that it's a QR code, I can then click on the little link that comes up. You guys can do the same. Point your phones at it. Yeah, Yasser has got it, and she's got the link already ready. So she could just fill the link right now. Sorry, fill the survey right now. So this is exciting because you can do the same at the test. You could have the QR code on your phone, or you could print it out and put it on your table, and stick it to your table with some tape. Bichazoro's got it. I've got it. Do you have it? Do you want to give a honey feedback? Yeah, so it works. So the whole point is it's easy and it's fast. Thanks, Eli has got it as well. The point is, guys, you want to make it easy and fast for people to fill the survey on site without delay, and you could get a lot of feedback in the testing session. You know, different people will pass by your table, your little testing station, and everyone should be doing this. You know, you can have conversations with them, but before they leave your table, tell them, please fill the feedback survey. Your opinion really matters. Please take your phone and scan this QR code now. That's all you need. But if you forget your QR code, how are they going to do it? Trust me, if you give them a link that they have to enter on their phone, they will not do it. Or 80% of the people won't do it, just because it's less easy to use. You know, in these kinds of moments, in interactions with customers, easiness of use is really one of the most important things. So don't forget your QR code. Bichazoro, back to you.
Well, thank you very much for that, Fred. And everything that Fred says is true, and it's very, 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 very important that you, during your interactions, remember this. Remember to actually show people, and it's very, very quick. So it takes away the thing of send me the link, do the link, just show them a picture, and I think anyone will help you and just give you useful feedback. And I think I've been able to do the demo and to show you guys, and we've been able to do the test in which we've done with Fred and myself. And I think the next step is we're all going to go to a breakout in which we're going to visit the qrcodemonkey.com and be able to then copy and paste our survey link. So the survey we created in the previous breakout, now we're going to change it now into a unique QR code, and then we're going to generate the QR code as we just discussed, and then we're going to download that QR code, and it's going to be on our phone. And when we go to any events or we go to anywhere, we can then be able to share that or show that to people. And then we'll be able to scan. Apologies for this. I'm having, yeah, and then we'll be able to then test the QR codes to make sure that they all work. Yes, I guess so. We're going to have a quick 15 minutes breakout in which we're going to show and test everything that we just covered right now, and we'll be able to show everyone our QR codes and share that with our friends as well and family as well. I think after this. So, all right, Fred, is there anything else you?
May I ask a quick question, please?
Yes.
I mean, this QR code, how is it generated?
That's an AI. And artificial intelligence creates this unique code. It creates a unique pattern. It might look similar, right? Because there's always these black boxes and such, but actually it's about the minute pixels. Pixels are small parts of a picture. Like imagine mini dots, you know, small dots that are nearly hard to see with the naked eye. And an artificial intelligence in the software that the company has, QR Code Monkey, creates a picture with very unique little dots. You can't even see the difference sometimes between one picture and the other, but your camera app and digital cameras in general can pick up this unique picture. And therefore, the picture sends through the link to your device because the device knows how to pick that up. It's actually that the text information for your link, you know, like for example, kennethsurvey.com, you know, like imagine that was the link. That is embedded within the language of the digital world inside the picture. So it's interesting. It's a, you know, very modern technology, but it's at your with this free tool. Isn't that cool? So, you know.
So for each organization, they have, I mean, they generate theirs. Hello?
Yes, I hear you.
So what I'm trying to find out is for each organization, or if you like individuals, they can generate theirs through Monkey.
Yes. QR Code Monkey, yes.
I see.
So yeah, each organization can have, you know, quite neutral looking QR codes, or they can even brand their QR codes, but that's a bit more advanced. So let's not cover that now. We just also showed you there were a few other options to, you know, customize the visuals of your QR code, but let's keep it simple today. The key thing is people are able to open the survey on their phone at your test event. So let's go into the breakout and let's get these 5 tasks done that Bicho Solo shared. Thanks for your question, Kenneth.
Thank you, Fred.
Well, welcome back, everyone. That was a very useful breakout. It's very important that I guess everyone now knows how to make the QR codes. They're not able to download the QR code itself. And I think this will really help you when you're doing your showcase. I think in the next few weeks, when people do come to your stand, you're able to show them those QR codes. Now we're going to start looking at the insights. I think one of the most important things that I talked about in the beginning of the session was understanding your goal. And the goal of creating a survey is to be able to have insights and be able to understand what is it that my customer is thinking, what are the feedbacks I'm getting. And so I'm going to show you from the survey that you've created, how can you see the insights? So I'll just switch over to the survey that we created before. And you would notice just on the top right-hand corner, there's something called responses. And if you click that magic button, what you see is a full summary, first of all the results of all the different people that has filled your surveys. And so you see it covered the names, so the various names. So you see Fred filled the survey earlier, and we have Carlos Montana. And then we also have all these very useful graphs that can just give you insights straight away. So for example, if you wanted to find out how many people often buy jars of honey, you can see straight away weekly, you can see 3 people. And you can also see, these key questions. Do you use honey for medicinal purposes? Well, the answer is no. People don't use honey for medicinal purposes. And so you can see that straight away with a lot of the pie charts and a lot of the bar charts that are available below. And also one of the key things that you can also see are the individuals. So say, for example, you wanted to see my answers to a question. So for example, you wanted to see the answers to a particular customer. And so, for example, you wanted to see Beju Saholo is this customer, and you can also see that his favorite flavor is strawberry. And so, for example, you can be able to send them a sample and say, oh, there's a strawberry sample. So based from the survey or the questionnaire that they filled, you've been able to then understand that customer as well. So you can also do that and then be able to see the individual answers that people also give. And to see the other individuals, there's this little next response button here that you can also use. And if you click next, you see the name below changes. Now you see it changes from Beju Saholo to Tony, and then it changes to Fred. And now you can be able to see what is Fred's response as a customer. What does Fred actually likes? Fred's favorite flavor is coffee. So now he likes coffee honey. So now I know I can send Fred a sample of this. But then another key thing that we can also do with this result is we can also export all these results into an Excel file. And so this Excel file will then be able to give you more understanding and give you a full list of the various responses of people that have answered your survey. And so to go to that Excel file, you have this little button where it says view responses in sheets. Now, if you click on it, it then takes you straight away to the sheets. And now you're able to then see Fred's responses, and you're able to then see his answers for each of the following questions. So the questions are usually at the top, and the answers is usually at the bottom of basically each question on each column. And you can see the answers are on each row for each individual. So for Tony, you can be able to then see the individual answers that he has for each of the following questions. And then you're then able to understand the customer. And then one of the key things that you can then do with that is, what that opens is you can also do some data analysis. So to understand, we have a small data set here, but then if you have a large data set, you can then be able to see which of your customers, which of them said they never buy a jar of honey. So, this might potentially not be a future customer. So you're able to then analyze that result. Another thing that you can then be able to do is to find out which customer wants it weekly. So you can then be able to respond to them, or you can then be able to know, I have to create a certain batch by the next week. And so you can also do that as well with the filter and analyze the data that you receive. So these are some of the key things that you can do with the results and from a questionnaire or from a survey. So I would go back to the presentation slide just to compare. So we've been able to see the results in Google Forms. So that means we've been able to see the results here, like I've explained to you. So summary, the summary is what shows us the results. So we've been able to see the results in Google Forms, and also we've been able to then see the results also in Google Sheets as well. And I think some of you might have some key questions that you want to ask, but we're going to have a quick breakout in which you'll be able to see some of the key insights, and you'll be able to understand, do a test survey and submit answers. So from the survey that we've done before, you'll be able to submit answers, so that from those answers, you then be able to view results. You'll be able to then view single result, which is for the individuals, like I've shown you before. And then also as well, you'll be able to then view the result insights to understand the summary of the results. And also as well, you then be able to set up email notifications as well, if you want to be able to understand whenever someone fills out the survey, and you'll be able to set up a new result on Google Sheets, like I showed you. And so your wonderful facilitators will be able to help you out and give you good feedback. And if you have any questions, feel free to just ask straight away.
Just a quick point, we still have this very short 2-minute video about the data protection, and I will quickly show that if you guys don't mind. I felt it was important to mention it. So guys, I'm going to post a text in the chat box that you can copy down to your computer, which should be okay to include in your form with a yes/no question. Okay, so I would suggest creating a new question and then adding this as a new yes/no question. Okay, this is just a nice practice, which is about data protection. You know, if you choose to ask the user their name and their email, so in other words, it's not anonymous, then you should make a statement about how you will protect that data. Maybe you're used to this from professionally made forms. Even though it's just a test, it's still their data, right? And the data is valuable. So I'm just going to really quickly show it to you, and then we can wrap up the session. I'm going to try and show you a video. Hopefully it works, and hopefully you can hear it as well. Let's see if that works. And if not, Adele, please let me know. And are we recording again?
Yes. The video, however, is not working.
I haven't played yet.
It
The
is
General
working.
Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR as you've likely heard it called. It goes into effect on May 25th, and it could affect you, no matter where you are or where you live. How? Let's answer some questions. So, what is GDPR? It tightens Europe's already strict laws about what companies can do with people's data. It gives you more control over how your data is collected and used, and forces companies to justify everything that they do with it. While GDPR is European Union legislation, it has a huge effect on businesses outside the EU, including the US. Why was GDPR introduced? Because the old laws were written before smartphones started collecting massive amounts of sensitive information for companies like Google and Facebook. GDPR gives organizations guidelines on what they can and can't do with personal data. It also makes them give users more clarity over the kind of data being used and how companies will use it.
I will just pause it here. So guys, this is just a quick introduction to this topic. The reality is both UK laws apply and international laws like GDPR apply to a lot of the practices that anybody who collects information from users works with. And so the key thing is, it is just as important for you as an individual person. Don't let your own data be stolen or used in ways that you don't want. But for you, what it means is asking for consent. When you ask for consent, you specifically state the purpose of the use of the data that you're collecting. So you can say what I said in the chat box. I sent you a standard text there that you can use. And also you give them the option to contact you anytime to remove their data. If they said yes, right? If they said yes to this question, that yes, you can store their email and their name, then you should also give them your contact details so that they can remove you. They can ask you to remove their details from your records, okay? Now, you can also do an anonymous survey and give users another option to contact you on LinkedIn, which is something we'll cover next Tuesday. In that case, you could let the survey be anonymous, but it's up to you. If you want to try and collect email addresses and names, then you should have this little disclaimer, okay? And then from there on, let's see if we can move on. Oops. Of course, Bijay Solo, back over to you, sir. Just to wrap up, I thought it was an excellent session. We have a question in the chat, which I'll answer in the chat, but Bijay Solo, over to you to finish off for today.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Fred, for that explanation. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's attended. Really, really appreciate you. And just like what we do, which is we're trying to practice what we preach, we're going to ask you for some feedback. And we're going to ask you, how did you find the session? How can we make it better for you? Because this is why we're creating these sessions. And we're also going to use a QR code that everyone can just quickly use their camera. So just quickly look at it. I think we've practiced scanning QR code a lot today. So just quickly look at your camera. Only quick survey will take you a few minutes. And you'll be able to give us feedback and just let us know how we can improve, how we can make this much fun and exciting for you. And this feedback you give us will also help us improve the program, not just for yourself, but also for the people who are coming after as well. So thank you very much, everyone who's attended. I'm extremely grateful, and thanks to the whole Turn team for the opportunity. It's been a wonderful session. Thank you. That is certainly true, Bijosolo, and well done. And I think you've completed your run of digital skills training sessions with the entrepreneurs for this ICE Academy UK, but I'm sure they'll see you back sometime soon. And thank you so much for all your contributions. We can't wait to work with you again to bringing the community up to speed. And yeah, aside from that, guys, if I don't see of everybody here, 17 people are still in the room, 4 or 5 of those are facilitators. If I don't see 12 pieces of feedback on the session about how to collect feedback, I will complain, okay? So this is obviously, now you have no more justification. Yes, Walid is doing it, yeah? 12 pieces of feedback. You know how to scan a QR code, you know how to do it. Adele, this is how we catch them. Because Adele is always there, she gets 3 pieces of feedback, or Lucas on the workshops, and we're like, hey, where's the feedback, But this time there's no excuses. So guys, enjoy the preparations. Now you know how to do it. Keep working on your survey. It's an important part of your test setup. And yeah, thank you so much for being so attentive and so good at it today. So feel free to tell Bijosolo your thanks as well for his for those who have come to multiple digital skills training sessions. Feel free to unmute yourself, say thank you to Bijosolo as well. I think that would be nice, seeing as it's his last session in ICE Academy this year. But of course, Bijosolo, you're most welcome at the testing events, at the pitch events, at graduation. You're part of it. But thank you for now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
Thank
your
you,
help.
everyone.
Thank you.